Joining us from our studio in Abuja is Chidi Omeje, publisher, Nigeria Security Digest and security analyst. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Now, there are concerns that perhaps the protest, hashtag #EndSARS protest and hashtag #EndSWORD protest, might have been infiltrated with the level of attacks that we have seen in recent days, attacks on protesters. How much of a concern is this for you? Yeah, we've seen some ugly incidents in Abuja and, of course, in Lagos, where some hoodlums attacked people who are, protesting peacefully. I think this is a very, sad development. I think Nigerians deserve to protest. They have a right to protest if they feel they need to protest, and it behoves on the state government, of course, the government, to protect people. It is part of their democratic rights to exercise such a, right, really, to protest. So I think it's a cause for worry, and government must find a way to ensure that those who are out there protesting, peacefully, should be protected. In fact, and I'm even happy because just yesterday or so, I read a report from by the coordinator of defense media operations, General Enenche, assuring Nigerians who are peacefully protesting that they ought to be protected, that should be protected, and they are protected. So, when we see such things, it really calls for concern. That's the typical recipe for chaos and anarchy. People who sit back to organize counter protests should do theirs away from where other people are protesting. If you believe that you have a genuine cause to express, you should not go to confront those who are doing their own protest. You can have other areas you can protest your own without confronting other people. It is wrong, and the government must stop it. It's not good enough. We watch TVs, we see other climes where people protest. It's rare that you see people coming to attack people who are protesting. That is not the best. It's like pouring petroleum and a raging fire. If that's not the way to stop this kind of thing. Right. We should learn the art of crisis management, and this is not part of it. If you think that you can stop the protest, find a way to address their genuine concerns, but not sponsoring any talks or hoodlums to confront people who are peacefully protesting. So I think it calls for concern. Thank you. Okay, but there are also concerns that the protest, if not properly handled, will be hijacked by elements that do not have the interest of the country at heart. That's true. That's also a genuine concern. I understand that the protesters, they say they don't have leaders, but the people should be out there to coordinate them. They must ensure that their protests are not hijacked by politicians or by those who have ulterior motives. If they are out there genuinely to protest what they feel they are worried about, they must ensure that they are not distracted. Eyes on the ball. They must focus. They must not at any point in time leave the issues they're talking about to get political or get unnecessarily destructive. So they must ensure that they are not distracted, that they are not infiltrated by any, be it hoodlums, be it politicians, be it whatever people with ulterior motives. They must remain on the lane for which they have come themselves for. So it's something very clear. We must ensure that these things are not distracted and then bring problem to the country. But now that they do not have leaders, now that they do not have leaders, how can they achieve that, ensuring that there is no infiltration, no interest in infiltrating them or hijacking this move? Well, they say they don't have leaders, but I believe they have coordinators. Probably these are different. Could be semantics, but certainly, if you have some of us back the days at the universities and all that, we were involved in protests, and we know that some people coordinate protests, and they must ensure. Look, this thing is a serious matter. It's a national issue. The whole world is watching, and it behoves on the coordinators of this protest, those who came up with the idea of SARS and all that, those who are behind this protest, they must ensure that they are, they remain true to the concerns. If they, for any point in time, allow themselves to be distracted, Nigerians will hold them responsible because, we have our country to run, and we don't want it to descend to anarchy. They have to be careful because we have a fragile polity right now. We have theaters of operations that our militaries are conducting in the northeast and the northwest, and we don't want to open other theaters of, crisis. So, look, yes, they have a right to protest, but they must ensure that this protest remain true to what it is all about. It must not, be filtered, yes.
All right, the state governors are setting up a panel of inquiry to address the human rights violations that are part of the complaints that hashtag #EndSARS protesters have been speaking about. Now, how far do you see that addressing these issues? Will that ensure that justice is not just done, but seen to be done?
Very important. I mean, I am all for them. This is part of the, I think this is part of the agenda, the part of the things that the protesters are talking about. If you don't address these concerns, there have been a lot of outcry out there. I read reports. People have come up to actually tell their stories. Did you hear about certain SARS camp, SARS station in Okuzu, in Anambra State? Have you read things people are talking about? Did you read about the one in Port Harcourt? Did you read the one about... There are so many things. Look, the idea behind establishing SARS was actually very progressive. But, it's quite a pity that few, bad eggs have tried to, have really messed up the whole system and brought a very terrible image for the Nigerian police. But I believe that part of the only way, part of the ways we can assuage the feelings of Nigerians is to actually dig deep, to let people establish a kind of truth commission, let people express themselves, tell their stories, and then unbundle the feelings. It is very important because it does appear that a lot of Nigerians have been hurt by the activities of some of these few bad eggs in the SARS. So it's to me. Yes, it's important that state governments, really come up with. I'm happy with Lagos state government. Very fast. They have already constituted some kind of committee to ensure that people come up to tell their stories, and of course, those who are found guilty will be sanctioned appropriately. Nobody will be left to go free. Anybody who, part of this sort of things that have brought a terrible image crisis for the Nigerian police must be punished, and of course. After that, there will be another level of conversation that Nigerians must be interested in, and that is to say, what happens to these operatives? Those ones who, because I believe that there are a few good eggs among the bad things that we've seen in the SARS. So what we do with those good ones, how do we deploy them? So that should be the next conversation after, taking care of the stories that we're going to hear from victims.
All right, Chidi Omeje, publisher, Nigerian Security Digest, we must thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.